Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at an article you sent over about a really critical NBA playoff game.
That's right. Game 5, Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks versus Pacers.
And the Knicks were down 3-1, facing elimination, at home. So our mission here is to unpack the source material, figure out how they managed that wire-to-wire win, force a Game 6.
Yeah, the article does a good job highlighting the key moments and the tactical things that were just essential for them. It points out how actually setting the tone early, that's been a struggle for them this postseason, even in games they won sometimes.
Right.
But this game, Game 5, totally different story, right from the tip-off.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. The material, it's pretty clear. Game 5, everything on the line. They finally got that explosive start they desperately needed. And the guy driving it, Jalen Brunson, he came out just absolutely on fire, scored the first 6 points of the game, finished that first quarter with, 14 points? Ended up with 32 overall, game high. Hit 6 of his first 7 shots. Just pure offense, according to this piece.
And this is fascinating. The article really hammers this point home. It wasn't just the scoring. Apparently his teammates really felt his willingness to compete harder on defense. That stood out even more, especially guarding Tyrese Halliburton.
Ah, interesting. Because Halliburton had that monster Game 4, right?
Exactly. Historic game. But then in Game 5, the article notes he was held to just 8 points, only 6 assists. And it links that directly to him finding, way fewer gaps in the Knicks defense. It really messed with the Pacers' rhythm. They had a season-high 20 turnovers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw Josh Hart is quoted in there saying, they don't need Brunson to suddenly become some lockdown defender. No. It's more about playing with that physical intensity, that competitive pride, basically guarding his yard, as he put it.
Good way to put it.
But the article's also careful to point out, it wasn't just Brunson on an island. Coach Thibodeau apparently described it as a collective thing. The whole team kind of tied together, making Halliburton work like crazy for every single look.
And that defensive intensity, it was undeniable. The piece notes, this was only their second win of the series, right? And both wins came when they held Indiana under 100 points. That tells you something.
Definitely. Okay, so the start was huge. The defense was locked in. But this dive into the article also shows a moment where they had to show some grit, right?
Yeah, there was a hurdle. Despite building up a pretty comfortable lead, they hit a snag in the second half. Mitchell Robinson came in, the center, and the Pacers immediately started fouling him. Intentionally. They know he struggles at the free throw line.
The old Hack-a-Shack type strategy.
Exactly. And it worked. For a bit, it helped cut the Knicks' lead, which was 20 points at one stage, all the way down to just 10 in that third quarter.
Okay, so here's where, according to this reading, it gets really interesting. Instead of crumbling, letting that momentum shift just take over,
right,
the Knicks punched right back, almost immediately. Brunson and the team ripped off a quick 12-0 run. Just like that.
Pushed the lead right back up to 22 points, I think, game high.
Yeah, and the article really highlights that sequence. Because they had that strongest start, and because they snuffed out that little foul trouble crisis so quickly, they finally got something closer to, a normal, comfortable finish to a playoff win, which the article notes has been pretty rare for them this postseason.
And it all comes back to the beginning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The article wraps up by circling back to how they started. Brunson himself is quoted, reflecting on it, said he was very proud of what we did, coming out with that energy.
Right.
And he explicitly says, they have to try to replicate it in the first quarter of the next game. That's the blueprint right there in the source material. Early energy, focused defense.
So yeah, pulling it all together from this article, we see the formula, right? That dominant start, sparked by Brunson being great on both ends. Then that collective defensive plan, really keying on Halliburton, forcing mistakes, and the mental toughness to answer that challenge with the Robinson fouls.
Exactly. They saw what worked.
And they themselves, Brunson especially, pointed to replicating that first quarter energy as the key going forward. This deep dive shows us the specific parts of that blueprint. So the big question the article kind of leaves you with as they head into a really tough Game 6 on the road is this. Can they actually replicate it? Not just the feeling of energy, but the specific defensive execution, that early dominance that defined this win.
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, something for you to chew on as you watch how the rest of the series